Grüße euch heute mit einem speziellen, besonderen Gast, mit einem mutigen EU-Bürger, nämlich mit Frederic Baldan, den ich recht herzlich begrüße und auch gratuliere zu seinem Buch über Ursula von der Leyen, das globale Covid-Kartell, das Frederic Baldan mittlerweile in Englisch, in Französisch und auch auf Italienisch veröffentlicht hat. Über das Buch werden wir heute sprechen und auch über Ursula von der Leyen. Ihr wisst ja mittlerweile, Ursula von der Leyen hat also nicht nur diesen Impfstoffbeschaffungsskandal abgehandelt, wo sie in einer privaten Beschaffungsaktion zwischen ihr und dem Pfizer-Chef Burla 1,8 Milliarden Impfstoffe von Pfizer um 35 Milliarden Euro bestellt hat. Das alles ohne jegliche Transparenz, vorbei am Europäischen Parlament, vorbei an Kontrollinstanzen. De facto war es eine private Geschichte zwischen ihr und dem Pfizer-Chef Burla. Und mittlerweile hat dann sogar der Europäische Gerichtshof festgestellt, dass diese Kommunikation zwischen Ursula von der Leyen und dem Pfizer-Chef Burla öffentlich zu machen sind, weil hier noch einmal 35 Milliarden Euro ausgegeben wurden für diesen Impfstoffbeschaffungsskandal. Was tut Ursula von der Leyen? Sie reagiert überhaupt nicht. Sie spricht, wann immer sie kann, von Transparenz und Demokratie in der Europäischen Union, aber die Unterlagen, angefordert, sogar vom Europäischen Gerichtshof, die rückt sie nicht heraus. Genau das Gegenteil ist der Fall. Der erste Punkt. Der zweite Punkt, nur ganz kurz zur Wiederholung. Uns ist es auch gelungen, einen Untersuchungsausschuss zu diesem Impfstoffbeschaffungsskandal einzuleiten. Erforderlich dafür waren 180 Unterschriften. Bekommen haben wir 182 Unterschriften. Würde man also meinen, dass es diesen Untersuchungsausschuss gibt. Leider weit gefehlt. So viel zur Demokratie und auch zur Transparenz hier in der Europäischen Union. Weil nämlich gemäß Geschäftsordnung des Europäischen Parlaments es so ist, dass die Präsidentenkonferenz des Parlaments, bestehend aus der Vorsitzenden Metsola, Mitglied der Volkspartei, und ihren 14 Stellvertretern, entscheiden, ob sie diesen Tagesordnungspunkt Einsetzung eines Untersuchungsausschusses um Ursula von der Leyen Impfstoffbeschaffungsaktivitäten aufzuklären, ob sie diesen Punkt auf die Tagesordnung setzen oder nicht. Und sie haben sich, ihr vermutet das schon richtig, sie haben diesen Tagesordnungspunkt nicht draufgesetzt, sodass dieser Untersuchungsausschuss nicht eingesetzt werden kann. Eine Katastrophe, wie hier im Europäischen Parlament mit der Demokratie umgegangen wird. Nun, lieber Freund Frederic Baldan, bitte erklär uns kurz, was alles in diesem Buch du festgehalten hast. Es ist sehr umfangreich, hochspannend zu lesen und noch einmal das globale Covid-Kartell aufgedeckt und aufgezeigt von Frederic Baldan. Was steht drinnen? Bitte schön.
Thank you for having me today. I face some censorship in Belgium, so I'm very glad that some MEPs and also German media and also European media try to give us a voice. So I wrote this book to explain to the public, but also to the police in Belgium, all the methods used by the lobbies to take the control on the public decision. So maybe the people, sometimes they believe that this is the commission that acting in the common interest of the people, but finally this is untrue today. So it's very far from it. The commission is acting in the interest and the sole benefits of the major lobbies, I mean multinationals, also big foundations. In the context of this COVID crisis, it's very easy to show that finally Mrs. von der Leyen was under multiple influence of big American foundation, like, for example, the Rockefeller one, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and also the World Economic Forum. And in this book, I just reveal that Mrs. von der Leyen at the moment she was appointed as, for the very first time, as president of the European Commission, she was in the same time still lobbyist for the World Economic Forum, which is very shocking because according to the treaty, she is not supposed to be dependent from a third party like this. And so we see in the whole term of Mrs. von der Leyen that she applies the program and agenda and defend the values of the lobbies she was working for in the past. So it's really annoying for the people to see this kind of bad behavior. And so we can even see through this book that Mrs. von der Leyen appointed a so-called independent experts to give advice to the Commission and also herself during the pandemic crisis. And so this person is a Belgian lobbyist called Mr. Peter Piot. She exchanged in the same model than with Mr. Baldan from Pfizer by using text messages, and we're unable to get a copy of these text messages. And so finally, we discovered that this person, Mr. Piot, the advisor of Mrs. von der Leyen, at the same time was paid also by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So meaning that this lobbyist was in a position of not being independent at all, and is supported a lobby called CP. And the purpose of this lobby was to just like find a way to exit any kind of legal framework that protected in the past the consumer in the European market. So just like to have an agency like the ERA agency and allowing to the industrialists to directly sell their product to the market. And so this is all I explained the influence of the lobby, and also the example of Ellen Knowlton, because Mrs. von der Leyen was supposed to declare all the relation with the lobbies was because she took part in a lobbying campaign called Science Will Win, paid by Pfizer, but it's not in the transparency register. You can check by yourself. For example, when I meet this wonderful MEP, Gerald Hauser, anytime he declared my meeting with him, because it's mandatory. And so Mrs. von der Leyen, she met Pfizer at Pfizer facility. It's not in the register and it's not normal. Pfizer, they hired Ellen Knowlton, the consultancy firm, the lobbying firm from the US, the one that trained the doctor of an ambassador in the US to make a fake testimony before the US authority, and then they started the first Gulf War this way. And so it's a terrible company. And so none of them, I mean the lobbying firm Pfizer of Mrs. von der Leyen, has declared their meeting. So it led us with all these kind of techniques and conflict of interest to the judicial case, because I decided to take Mrs. von der Leyen to the court in the frame of a criminal complaint for many reasons, like corruption, taking illegally interest, destruction of public document, I mean the text messages, and also the fact that finally she just interfere in the affair of the state of Belgium, because the power to deal with health was the one of Belgium and to negotiate, and not the one of Mrs. von der Leyen. And it's very interesting to deal with this case, because we can see with some question from a member of the European Parliament to the Commission that the Commission explained we appointed two different committees, one of expert and one of negotiation. Why? To prevent any risk of new case of corruption, of forgery of data from Pfizer, like fake marketing, these kind of things. And so it was the answer of the Commission. And so finally what happened, we have Mrs. von der Leyen that just decided to pass over these two committees and negotiate by herself without any mandate from the member states. And it was said in court, so we can prove it today. So finally, this behavior was very illegal, and also the fact that she's supposed to defend and enforce the fundamental rights of the EU citizens. And so we see this person today just like violating the right of transparency by preventing the public and the journalists from getting it was a contract, but also the text messages. And so this is what this book is about, to explain to the public these criminal affair and legal proceeding, and also the influence of the lobby.
Also keine Transparenz, keine Demokratie und vor allem keine Gerechtigkeit. Um das ein bisschen auf den Punkt zu bringen, Geld regiert die Welt und die Politik wird von den Mächtigen dieser Welt, von den Globalisten dieser Welt wird gemacht. nämlich nicht von den Politikern, sondern von den Mächtigen. Und die Mächtigen sind sehr gut vernetzt mit dem desolaten System und das ist der Punkt. Es ist eine Katastrophe. Ich versuche das in meiner Funktion als Mandatar aufzuzeigen und aufzudecken. Deswegen bin ich auch gewählt worden und deswegen habe ich sehr viele Vorzugsstimmen bekommen und versuche diesen Job wirklich 24 Stunden durchgehend zu machen, wann immer es geht, über Anfragen, Anträge und so weiter. Und wir bringen auch sehr, sehr viel Licht ins Dunkel. Du hast dann auch ein Gerichtsverfahren gegen Ursula von der Leyen in Belgien angestrebt. Wie ist das Gerichtsverfahren ausgegangen? Wie ist es gelaufen?
So we lodged basically, I was the first initially to lodge a Korean complaint in the end of an investigating judge in Belgium against Mrs. von der Leyen for multiple criminal offenses. And so I was rejoined by 1,000 people, including member states like Poland, like Hungary, and also political parties and some law professor, for example, from very nice universities. Also parents having lost their children, pilots, hostess. Many people joined me in this fight. And so finally, what happened, we had a judge in Liège that just like said something very shocking for everyone, that it's not because together Pfizer and Mrs. von der Leyen just like violated our fundamental rights that we have a damage. Meaning that the ruling of the court in Liège just like it's a proof that we have no more human rights in the European Union, because if you can violate these rights without causing any damage, it means that these rights doesn't exist anymore. So this is something very shocking, and also the fact that we have no rights as taxpayer to have a ground to fight corruption, because they said the money from the government is not your money. Anymore, I would say. But this is also something very shocking, because it's supposed to be the prosecutor office, the public ministry, that just like prosecute this kind of criminal offense. But the problem we have is that these prosecutors refuse to prosecute Mrs. von der Leyen. And this is the core of our problem. And in this judicial case, which was initially a Belgian case, we saw the interference of a kind of EU agency called the EPPO, the European Public Prosecutor Office, a kind of cooperation between member states. It's a very strange body, because it's under the control of Mrs. von der Leyen. This is Mrs. von der Leyen giving the budget to prosecute people to the EPPO. This is Mrs. von der Leyen providing the IT infrastructure to the EPPO. I mean, even the IT infrastructure used to transfer the secret case of the magistrate to the EPPO it was transferred through this infrastructure under the control of Mrs. von der Leyen. And also, she had a power to just like fire or ask Mrs. Kovesi, the chief of the EPPO, to quit the job. So there is no independence from the EPPO regarding to Mrs. von der Leyen. And what they did is to protect her, because thanks to this criminal proceeding, we had a chance. First of all, we have an access to the contract, so we can see that since the very beginning, all these anti-COVID measures like QR code were illegitimate and illegal. In Belgium, it's even a criminal offense to apply this kind of rules if you are a civil servant. And so we can also prove now, thanks to a 1,000 pages report from the anti-corruption unit of the Federal Police of Belgium, that Mrs. von der Leyen, she is basically guilty. And so the only way that the court found it to just prevent some additional investigation upon the request of the EPPO was to attack the victims, saying the victims have no ground to claim for a damage, which is really shocking. And so the prosecutor office himself refused to consider Mrs. von der Leyen as a suspect. But this is terrible, because this police report of 1,000 pages is in the hand of the EPPO. And every year there is a hearing at the European Parliament, and the chief of the EPPO go before the Parliament to explain, okay, the potential risk of abuse of power, what was the activity of the EPPO during the year. And so Mrs. Kovesi, the chief of the EPPO, lied to the Parliament. She said, I have no suspect in this case. But can you imagine, this case is the destruction of the text messaging between Mrs. von der Leyen and Mr. Bulla. Who can destroy the phone? Who can destroy the data? only Mrs. von der Leyen. In the rest of the case, we have a 1,000 pages report, and the name, the title of this case is Ursula von der Leyen. So how it comes that the EPPO can claim that they have no suspect in this case? So this is a situation we face, like it's a kind of end of the rule of law, the end of human rights, and the end of democracy in the EU. So this is why we should all feel very concerned, and we need also journalists and MEPs to fight against this kind of abuse of power.
Ja, wir versuchen wirklich unser Bestes zu tun, aber die Frage ist, und jetzt, geschätzte Zuhörer, ihr werdet jetzt schockiert sein, wie geht man mit mutigen Bürgern um, die bereit sind, Bücher über das globale Covid-Kartell herauszugeben, die bereit sind, Ursula von der Leyen vor Gericht zu zehren, um Transparenz in diese Angelegenheiten überhaupt hineinzubringen. Es werden ja keine privaten Gelder ausgegeben, sind ja alles öffentliche Mittel. Und ihr wisst bitte zum Impfstoffbeschaffungsskandal, mittlerweile ist es ja hinreichend bekannt, dass die Covid-19-mRNA-Impfungen überhaupt nicht sicher sind. Allein in der Europäischen Union, gemeldet an der Europäische Arzneimittelbehörde, bei einer äußerst geringen Meldequote von 6%, 30.000 Todesfälle im Zusammenhang mit den Covid-19-Impfungen. Das ist absolut schockierend. Frederic Baldan gibt nicht auf. Und wie geht man mit Menschen um, die nicht aufgeben, die der Stachel im Fleisch des desolaten Systems sind? Wenn man sie schon nicht besiegen kann, dann versucht man ihnen den Geldhahn zuzudrehen, so wie man das auch mit Auf 1 zum Beispiel gemacht hat, Spendenkonten wurden von Banken gesperrt, zugedreht, und der wirkliche Skandal ist, dass die Bankkonten von Frederic Baldan und auch seines Kindes gesperrt wurden von den Banken. Das heißt, Frederic Baldan ist mittlerweile oder momentan nicht in der Lage, vernünftige Transaktionen zu machen, weil er über keine Bankkonten verfügt, die gesperrt sind. Wie geht's dir damit? Wie ist sowas überhaupt möglich, dass man Bankaccounts sperrt?
So it's all about retaliation. So the European Commission they decided to create a regulation to protect whistleblower, and so I'm supposed to be protected under this EU regulation. The first retaliation I faced was to be suspended and then removed from the lobbyist register because I was a professional lobbyist, and so it means that I'm not able to continue to work anymore. But now I face additional retaliation, like two banks in the same time, absolutely the same time, decided to create some troubles, as the bank ING, for example, that decided to, without any reason provided, to close my bank account. And after that, the Belgian bank, Nagelmakers, did the same, but not only to me, all related accounts to my person. So it's very interesting because they closed, for example, the bank account of the publishing house that just published this book. And so they also closed the account of my consulting firm. Also the one shared with my wife, and the one of my 5-year-old son. So it's a bit shocking. Like, it's not only myself, they are targeting everyone through me. So this is something just like we have to feel concerned about this. And so we are very, we take the decision now to basically react because this kind of behavior is unacceptable from a bank. And if two independent banks just like have the same kind of decision at the same times, there is only one single reason possible. It's basically the state that intervenes through its services to my banks to ask, for example, for my financial transactions, to spy on me. And so finally, these banks became like the partner in crime with my states, because finally they're applying retaliation against whistleblowers and people defending the fundamental rights. So we should all feel concerned, but I'm very happy that it happens to myself because I have the means to fight these banks. And so we will do it or with my lawyer in the common interest of the people.
Ja, wir wünschen dir auf jeden Fall viel Glück. Das gesamte Vorgehen zeigt auf, wie undemokratisch die Europäische Union und die Mächtigen hier in Brüssel wirklich agieren. Man zwingt die Bürger in die Knie, indem man ihnen einfach de facto die Lebensader Bankkonto abschneidet. Es ist brutal, es ist schockierend. Aber wir geben nicht auf, wir werden dich weiterhin unterstützen, weil wir mutige Bürger, so wie den Frederic Baldan, dringend benötigen, um dieses desolate System, wo nämlich die Macht von den Globalisten ausgeht und nicht vom Volk hier ausgeht, endlich zu beseitigen. Zukünftig muss endlich wieder Normalität eintreten und die Macht vom Volk ausgehen und nicht von einigen wenigen Globalisten, die die Welt regieren. Lieber Frederic, alles Gute, viel Erfolg und danke für das Interview. Unsere Unterstützung hast du. Wenn du wissen willst, wie die öffentliche Meinung funktioniert, wie sie gemacht wird und vor allem, was ich wiedergebe und wie ich die Politik sehe, folge mir bitte auf meinen YouTube-Kanal.